I don't really give a motherfucker about the podcast. Put your hands up for the Welcome, guys, to the So Good It's Bad podcast with your host, me, Chaim Samuels. What's going on, guys? Episode 4. Can you believe it? Today I'm going solo. Today it's just me today. And I wanted to talk about a particular topic that I think I've been meaning to talk about for a while. I touched upon it a little bit in some previous videos, but I really wanted to make like an entire video talking about my YouTube experience. And I want to talk to you guys also about how I was able to grow 2 YouTube channels to 1,000 subscribers, what that took, and I particularly want to touch on a specific topic when it comes to growing like comedy channels and entertainment channels, because I think like most people trying to grow their YouTube channels, I know me specifically, I would go and check up videos on how to grow 1,000 subscribers. And almost unanimously, it was the same types of channels that were giving specific advice of how to grow your channel. And I had a huge issue with this because a lot of times they're not going to give you always in my opinion, the best advice. A lot of times they don't understand how to grow an entertainment or comedy channel. They haven't had to do it. Maybe they've talked to people, but they haven't had the experience. And a lot of times they're telling you how to grow your channel. And I think some of the advice is actually not particularly going to work, or they're leaving out a lot of advice. For me, like growing a comedy channel, I had to do a lot of stuff on my own and find out a lot of stuff on my own, because again, there weren't really any channels talking about how to grow this particular type of channel. And I wanted to particularly touch upon that because I think it's important, and hopefully anybody who is trying to grow a comedy channel right now, or anything really entertainment wise, and I'm not even particularly saying that I'm the expert on it, but I have gotten to 1,000 subscribers, and there are some things that I think anybody who is starting off wanting to do this might be able to take some advice from me. So I kind of want to touch on all this because there's a lot to touch on, and there's a lot of failure, okay? So buckle up, kids, because it really is just mostly failure when it comes to this stuff. I think for most people on YouTube, I guess I'll start from the beginning. When I first officially started doing YouTube, it was about a year after I'd started doing stand-up comedy. I moved to New York when I was 20. I'm 26 right now, and a year after I'd started doing stand-up, I got this idea to start doing a YouTube channel and put skits and sketches out and kind of stuff like that. And I think like most people who started a YouTube channel or are in YouTube right now, they didn't start from the spot that it shows a lot of times on their channels. Like most people sort of dabbled in YouTube. Most people have been doing YouTube for like 10 years, and they have like really old videos that they had on a bunch of different channels. I know for me personally, like I had like a couple of different channels for whatever reason that I had made, and you could probably still check some of that stuff out. Like me rapping and freestyling and putting it on the internet. I had like different videos kind of scattered all over YouTube. And I'm 26, so I can say that I was sort of at the beginning of the birth of YouTube. I remember YouTube sort of at that 2007, 2008 point. That was really an interesting time, because it was, if you wanted to watch videos, I'm going to sound like such an old fart right now, but I don't care. It's my podcast. I'll do what I want. For any of the kids out there watching this, really, like, the great thing about being my age is that I had sort of the privilege of growing up with a lot of, right before the, obviously, explosion of social media. So I was kind of on the end, sort of things like VHS tapes and computers where you mostly didn't spend your time on the internet. You played either games or, as I was saying before, like if you wanted to watch a video like you do nowadays, you just go on YouTube and you can watch really any video. I mean, there's a billion social media platforms you can go on, but back in the day, you went to specific websites and you'd watch a bunch of funny videos. Like, I remember going to specific websites, and that's where and it was like it would upload once in a while videos that were really funny, but it was like a page of stuff, and there was a very limited amount of stuff, and then you just click on the video. It's really interesting to think back on how the internet worked, and that before there was really YouTube, how you like watched videos, but that was sort of it. I don't remember MySpace. I don't know if I never had a MySpace. I don't remember it. As I said, I many times, I grew up as ultra-Orthodox religious Jew, so I don't think I was allowed to, or even privy to the idea of having, like, my own social media platform. But regardless, I remember YouTube from the initial days. Where am I even going with this? I remember one of the first guys I discovered who was like at the beginning was the Nostalgia Critic. I had been a huge fan of him as soon as I discovered him, and he was like one of the really big staples of YouTube. But so I remember I'd made a few videos sort of scattered around the internet. Moving forward, I moved to New York when I was about 20. I started doing stand-up comedy, and then a year in, I had this idea to start putting out sketches, putting out skits to hopefully help my career in comedy. And I started doing that. Now, obviously the videos you see nowadays, I wouldn't necessarily qualify them as particularly super professional, but compared to the videos that I had tried to put out back in the days, I'm super ADD, and so, a lot of times I would rush videos, and it showed. When I started putting out videos, actually my brother Shalom at the time, I think, who was he was going to school with me. Was he going to school? I think he was living in New York for some reason, and we started doing skits and sketches together, which was really cool. I remember one of the first skits actually was we did like something about Rosh Hashanah. It was like a Jewish video. We posted that. Don't think it got a lot of views, to be completely honest. And I think like most people starting off trying to do comedy, specifically when it comes to YouTube, you don't really have a good handle on how to write a sketch and how to sort of edit it together. The general idea, I think, for the sketch was like two people, they're sitting in like the Rosh Hashanah services, and like they're eating popcorn. It was just a bunch of dumb stuff they would do. I mean, I had fun doing it. And I remember I didn't even have a camera at the time, so I had a couple of friends, fortunately, who I got to film with me at the time. And, I'm pretty fascinated by the fact that they did it totally for free. And I don't think I was particularly easy to work with, because I had a particular schedule and I wanted to get things out. And I didn't pay them because I didn't have any money, and so at the time I would just get these poor guys to film videos for me for free because I didn't have the experience. I just want to say thank you so much there was a few guys that helped me out, I don't know why. I honestly don't know why they would just help me out for free. So shout out to them. Thank you very much. But anyways, I started putting out sketches. Now, this is kind of comes to, I want to talk about my experiences, but I also sort of want to give specific things that I learned throughout my time doing it. And I remember I was sort of putting out sketches and skits whenever I really could. I don't remember if I was, I don't think I was doing like once a week even. I think I would just try to put out a sketch when really ever I could. And I don't know if I ever had a particular schedule on when I would put out sketches. And I remember I would, run around trying to get people to subscribe. And I don't know if I was super attuned to the subscribers at all. I wanted to get a lot of views, like so many people starting off again with YouTube. I just wanted to just go super viral, and none of the videos ever managed to do that. I mean, there were once in a while where I'd get a video that was like over 100 views, and that was like crazy to me at the time. And I remember I had done this for about a few years, where I'd gotten, I think, my brother to be in some skits, and I had gotten some people to help me out do videos, but when you're relying on other people to film your videos, obviously you can't really create a specific schedule for yourself. That was a big issue. And sometimes I would even go into the editing and do the editing myself, which, again, I was like filming on Movie Maker or Wondershare Filmora at best, and I had incredibly limited experience doing it. So I would sometimes edit a sketch, and I'm super ADD, and so sometimes like something would not fit right, or sometimes like a word would get cut off, and I'd be like, whatever, I'm just gonna put it out, because it had, which is not a good idea. If you're putting these types of videos together, it just make sure you're not cutting words off in your skits. Make sure try to get the basics down. So there were a lot of things that I learned throughout, and in the 2 or 3 years that I put out videos. So let's say I was 21, maybe 20. I'm trying to remember, 23 or 24. Maybe it was about 2 years. 2 years I was just putting out skits and putting out videos, and what I learned from that experience was a few things. And so I guess I'll go through sort of a list of the things that I particularly, I think, learned from that experience that I was able to take into my next step into my YouTube journey. So the most I had gotten was close to 300 subscribers, I think. But that was over 2 years of putting out videos and working hard. So I can, and then going to people that I knew and asking them to subscribe. So again, I didn't even get over 300 subscribers. And it was really, really frustrating. And at the same time, also, I was doing stand-up comedy, and that wasn't going particularly well. I wasn't very good, and I was doing open mics. And so it was kind of this whole sort of depressing moment that that sort of came together at the end when I turned 23. I sort of had this idea. Was it either 23 or 24? Maybe it was 24. I think it was, it might have been 24, where I had this specific idea that I would be at a certain place by 24 in my career, and that was not the case. And so it was really depressing to look back at a YouTube channel that I really put my heart, sweat into, that really wasn't gaining much traction. Okay, so there were a bunch of things that I definitely was doing wrong, that I guess I'll run down for you guys quickly, and then I'll step into the next stage in my YouTube career and some things that I actually did right. But for a while, it was just me sort of failing for a while and not even sort of paying attention to why I was failing. So first, you have your simplest things was, when it comes to thumbnails, I don't remember the thumbnails particularly, but I don't remember ever putting a lot of effort or doing them very well or professionally at all. I also remember that I didn't have a particular time during the week that I would post videos. I think that's usually important, consistency, and a lot of times my videos were all over the place. So one day I'd post a skit, and then one day I would post a video with me on the street, and then one day I'd post a video of me doing something random. But there wasn't a particular, that you could, I guess, do sort of an array of videos, but they have to have sort of a specific, they kind of have to have a general idea around all of them, I'd say. Try to find a general idea. You don't just want to do totally random videos that don't fit together in your channel. And that was definitely what I was doing at the time. I didn't have a particular even style, which I'd say right now. I'd say if you're going to do a comedy channel, and this is particularly when it comes to a comedy channel, I'd say, maybe I'll talk about this a little later, but I'd say you want to have a very consistent style when it comes to your comedy. I'll get more into that later on. But the general idea was that, also, I wasn't very good. That was the truth also. I was not very good at all. And again, I was relying on people to help me film, so I didn't have a specific schedule. And my videos weren't very good. My editing skills weren't very good. And a lot of times I would cut corners, and I was really lazy. And a lot of times I wouldn't have the patience to actually run through a a take or try to take another take, and a lot of times it was like the first take I could think of, and I wasn't even particularly thinking so much about the acting itself. That is a big problem a lot also that I've had, where when you're creating videos, when it comes to comedy and stuff like that, a lot of times it's really hard when you're the one filming and you're the one sort of directing and acting and writing, and you're trying to do everything to also do a great performance, because when you have all of these things, and I've learned this also from directing in general. When I've directed a couple of things just on my personal channel, and one of the things was The Wrong Hole, my web series, which is second episode. Might have already come out. It probably came out already, but go check that out. But when you're sort of acting and you're directing yourself at the same time, a lot of times it's really hard to balance the two and really give a good performance. And definitely when I was putting out those sketches for the first 2 years, I don't think I was very much focusing on trying to get a good performance. I was just trying to get everything done and put out a video as fast as possible. And I really wasn't taking the time and effort and trying to really get better at editing and stuff like that. Again, I was cutting corners. So again, my channel at the end of 2 years was a lot of things that I look back on today and say, wow, that was pretty bad. Number one, as I said before, the sketches were not very good. Number two, I didn't have a specific schedule. Number three, I didn't have really a specific style, and all my videos were all over the place. And that was a big culmination of, and a lot of stuff was also unprofessional. And so a big glob of that at the end of 2 years, where I didn't even get above 300 subscribers, and this was me like putting out videos. I had like 60 or 70 videos throughout the entire channel after about 2 years. So it wasn't as if I was putting out a video every other month. I was putting out enough videos where I had a decent amount, and it was really not leading up to a lot of stuff. So that was my first 2 years of doing YouTube unsuccessfully. I can tell you from personal experience that, when you watch some of these videos and the people try to relate to you, and they're like, well, I'm not, I was in your place also, because I'd gotten 1,000, I was a small channel once too, I was at 1,000 subscribers, and I know what it's like to not gain as many views as possible. And you're like, listen, you don't understand what I'm going through, okay? I'm at 1 subscriber right now with 2 views on my videos. Nobody's watching my videos. I've been doing YouTube for a year and a half. It's really frustrating when bigger channels that are trying to explain to you how to grow your channel, trying to relate to you. I get it. It's annoying because they don't really understand what it's like to struggle some of the time. But me, personally, I get what it's like to struggle. Okay, I get it. I was under 300 subscribers after 2 years of putting out like 70 videos. And this was me also like trying to get family and friends, and when I'd hang out with people, try to get them to subscribe. And so I was really desperate, and I had not gained I just had not been very successful. So I know what that situation is like, and I know what it's like to feel like you're never going to succeed. Okay, so going into that, after 2 years, I had some, I guess you could say, mental health stuff that I was dealing with that made me, I was living in New York at the time, and it was pretty much not a good place in my life. I think I didn't have a job. I was living in I think I was living in like my cousin's basement, and my parents were paying the rent, but it was like this tiny little closet. They had like, they rented out, this was like, honestly, this was sort of like a closet that was renovated into a tiny room. And it was like $400 a month, and I couldn't even pay that. I was overeating. I was definitely the fattest I'd ever been. I was huge. I was almost 200 pounds. And I was really depressed at the time. And so I remember there were particularly things that I was dealing with where it made me move home in Connecticut for about a month and a half to deal with some of the things that I'd be going through. And during that time, I sort of had a revelation on my YouTube channel. And I came to a specific conclusion that what I was doing on my channel was not working, and I had to sort of start anew if I wanted to, have any success in YouTube. And I remember thinking to myself, I decided to be a little more analytical when it came to YouTube. Instead of just hoping that people understood me and that I was just putting out stuff for myself, and if they don't see the genius of my work, then they're stupid and there's something wrong with people. Instead, I decided to go a little more analytical and try to understand what people wanted to see. And I remember asking myself a few questions at the time. And sorry, I keep checking the time because it shuts off at a half an hour. So if I keep doing that, it's only because I'm trying to make sure to like double back and make sure that I can hit the whatever. Anyways, so I had a sort of realization, and I remember asking myself a few specific questions. If I wanted to succeed at YouTube, what did I want to do? Realistically, what could I do? And I asked myself, what could I do on YouTube that could help me put out consistent material? What was something that I could do, or I knew that I could put out like at least 1 or 2 videos a week? You know, the skits and sketches at the time was pretty difficult, and I think it was sort of hard for me to come up with ideas and stuff like that at the time. And so I said to myself, what's realistic? What's a realistic thing that I can do? And number 2, what's something that I think I could enjoy and be kind of good at? And so I'm not just putting out stuff that to get views or whatever. I'm actually sort of enjoying what I'm doing. And I asked myself those questions, and the answer that I came up with was I could do a reaction channel. A reaction channel for me at the time made sense. and I learned very quickly that there was a very particular way that you can grow your reaction channel, that if you learn how to do it, it becomes very easy. And it's not super hard. And when I learned this, boom, my channel started to slowly grow, and I was able to reach 1,000 subscribers. So I started off on my channel doing reaction videos. Excuse me. Now, the first 2 years I started doing YouTube, I was doing sketches, I was all over the place, barely grew. This is the second part of YouTube. I called myself Meth Rogan. That was the channel name. Now, Meth Rogan was me doing reaction videos to stuff, and I started doing this, and there was a couple of things that I realized throughout doing reaction videos. And I'd say to anybody out there right now who wants to start a YouTube channel, you're not sure what you want to do, but you just want to be able to do something that's easy enough and there's a way to succeed, reaction channels is the dirty little secret. I promise you, if you follow these things, you can absolutely grow your channel on YouTube. It wasn't even that necessarily difficult. What it was what I realized when it came to reaction videos, and these are sort of specific tips I think you can take into some of your other channels, was that the way to grow reaction videos was that I subscribed to a lot of different big artists and a lot of different like big comedians and trailer videos and stuff like that. And every time something big or new would come out, I would try to be the first one to react to it. So anytime I'd see a trailer for a movie that I knew was going to get a lot of views, I would immediately try to get out my video as soon as possible. And what was great about that was I didn't need to come up with ideas. I didn't need to rely on particular ideas. I already had a formula that I could put into place that was simple enough for me to be able to shoot a video, sort of react and give my thoughts and post it. And if I was quick enough, I would get a lot of views. If you ever go to a video, a lot of times you want to see people react to the video, whatever it might be. Any large artist that puts out a music video, a lot of times you want to know what other people think. And what happens is, again, I think I had like a crummy little handheld camera that was like $150. The mic wasn't even that great, and sometimes I would even use my iPhone. So you don't even need to have very great equipment to be able to do this, you could have very simple equipment. You could do this all on your phone, and you could use Movie Maker. That's what I started doing at the time. And again, I would try my best to be one of the first to react to a very large video. And I remember I would do this enough during the week where I was putting out I was almost doing this every day. So I'd put out like 5 or 6 videos a week, just because it sort of gave me that high every time I'd get a bunch of views on a video and people would subscribe. It was just a great feeling. And I wasn't even doing that much, to be honest. I would just be like, hey, what's going on? This. I'm going to react to this. I'd literally react to the video. I just watch it full. I wouldn't even edit out those parts. And that's kind of what gave me a particular edge, I think, because a lot of people, they hate when you're watching a video and you're watching someone react to it and they keep cutting the video. And I think a lot of times that is for copyright stuff. But what I did was I would just watch through the entire video and then give sort of my thoughts, and then quickly edit it, which would take 20 minutes, and then post it. And a lot of times I managed to get a lot of views because I was one of the first people to react to a very large video. Now, what was frustrating sometimes about it was that I would get there too late, and that was really annoying, and then I would barely get any views on it because there would already be just a bunch of people reacting to it. So that was annoying, but overall, I did this enough where I started to actually gain subscribers. And I remember, I think I started from a little under 300 subscribers. Oh, and also I remember when I started this channel, I erased all of those videos that I did, all the sketches and skits and stuff like that. I decided I wanted to fully start anew. And I remember my last podcast, Cody Clark, pointed this out to me, that I like to reinvent myself a lot. And I realize that it's just, I don't know what it is, but I like to just start new and start fresh. And so that's sort of what I did with this channel. I started putting out videos. And so again, what are the great tips? What are the great things about a reaction channel? Why it's so easy is because, as I said before, you don't really have to rely on particular material. You just have to rely on people putting out large stuff and you reacting it and being one of the first. So, for my first tip, anybody starting a reaction channel, this could also accommodate a lot of other channels that particularly talk about specific subjects that you don't need to actually, a lot of the times with these types of channels, have a particular time when you do it. You just need to react to a video whenever it comes out. That's sort of the great thing. So in this particular channel, you don't have to even be that consistent. You just need to be able to put out enough material where you're reacting to stuff that people want to see. So a couple of more things that I realized throughout this channel was that a lot of times that would be sort of difficult because when there's a large video that comes out, a lot of people see it and you have a lot of competition. And what I realized was a way for me to stand out and not have to always rush as fast and try to be hopefully one of the first ones to react to a large video was that I would react to smaller videos. Still videos that had eyeballs, but videos that didn't have as many people reacting to that. And it was sort of a niche that I could fit right into. And it would help me get views because I didn't have as much competition. And so I was able to sort of balance the two. So the tips I would say when it comes to reaction video is that what's so simple and easy about it is you want to subscribe to a lot of large channels, and when you see a large video being put out, try to be the first one there. And also subscribe to a lot of smaller artists, maybe that are not as known, but still have a decent following because you won't have as much competition when it comes to it. And you'll be able to succeed in smaller niches because people will go, oh, look at this guy. He's reacting to an artist that I really like that's not super known. And there's something I like about the fact that he's doing that. So not only does it create less competition in a smaller market, but it also makes you stand out as somebody who's unique and interesting and reacting to videos that not as many people are going to react to. That's what makes you a little more interesting. And you can then build out sort of a subset of reaction videos and make yourself a little more unique. And people will want to subscribe, particularly because you're a guy that's going to react to smaller channels, and you can do this with whatever you like. If you like independent movies, then you can be the guy who reacts to independent trailers. And people will go, oh, wow, he's the guy that reacts to these small independent channels. So, not only can, if you want to react to smaller artists, which is what I would do some of the time, I would have artists that I really liked that had somewhat of a big following, but not a huge following. There weren't like mega stars, and I would react to those videos, and I would get a decent amount of views on those ones because, again, there wasn't much competition, and people liked that I would react to videos that not as many people reacted to. And so you can kind of establish your own niche when it comes to these types of videos. And at the same time, what's great about it is that you can also inject your personality in it. So what I would try to do, and I could have done if I wanted to, was that I would try to then start reacting to videos that didn't necessarily, weren't necessarily videos that had just been posted. I would react to random stuff and then sort of inject my personality and try to inject some humor into it. And so you can build out your YouTube channel by sort of following this structure where you're reacting to videos that people really want to see, and at the same time you can then inject your own specific personality, and then you can also talk about stuff and react to stuff that you want. So I'd say it'd be like something like you react every 3 or 4 videos. For 3 or 4 videos you react to videos that everybody wants to see, and then the 5th video you react to whatever video you'd like to react to, and you can inject your own personality, and that will sort of travel over to people who have subscribed to your channel. Now they'll go and check out some of your other more personal stuff, and they'll get a sense of your personality. So you're growing your channel, and you're growing your channel, and you're being consistent, and at the same time you also get to inject your own personality, and you get to do some of your own stuff. And so that's a great way to start off doing something like a reaction channel. So those were tips that really helped me to grow from about a little less than 300 subscribers to 1,400 subscribers in about a year. Just me consistently putting out stuff. And so those were really great tips that I think anybody who's considering doing YouTube now and you're not sure what you want to do, I'm telling you, it's a cheat code. Reaction videos, reaction channels. You don't need to have great equipment. You can literally have, I've seen like crappy videos who had a lot of views, particularly because they were the first ones to react to a video, or they had a particular niche that they decided. And the great thing also about this is you don't need to have great editing skills. And it's something that you could do a lot of the time, and it's not super particular hard. And this is for anybody that this appeals to. If reaction channels appeals to you and you'd like to do something more like this, then these are particular skills that help me to grow my channel, and I guarantee if you follow these, you will grow your channel yourself. Now, I put out like 5-6 videos a week, so maybe if you're just putting out one video, it might not be as good, but maybe your personality will travel over, and you'll be good enough that you won't need to put out as many videos. And so those are just some particular tips that helped me throughout about a year. So that was my second phase of YouTube. Okay, so closer to the end, when I reached that 1,000 subscribers, it was sort of a bittersweet moment, because I felt like, wow, I actually did it. I actually managed to do this thing that seemed so difficult and almost impossible, and I managed to actually reach 1,000 subscribers. But sort of what I learned when I did that was, it didn't make me feel as great, because I wasn't particularly putting out the types of videos that I really wanted to do, which was like skits and sketches. That was what I was really passionate about. And when I finally reached that 1,000 subscribers threshold, it made me sort of realize that. And I remember I did something that I think was sort of crazy, and something that for whatever reason I decided I wanted to do, which was, you know what, I want to start a brand new channel. And I had about 80 subscribers on that channel at the time, and I want to start posting skits and sketches, and that was what I was going to particularly focus on. And this channel that I was doing reactions to that I'd finally got into 1,000 subscribers, I was just going to start doing music on. And it was pretty crazy for me to totally decide to take this 1,000 subscriber channel that I'd worked about a year for and decide to kind of put it to the side and start a brand new channel, putting out the type of content that I wanted to put out. But I decided I was going to do this because I wanted to feel fulfilled doing the type of content that I wanted to do and gaining 1,000 subscribers for that. So that's what I started doing. And that is sort of a chapter in part 3. Now, part 3 is sort of where I am sort of right now, although I would say actually I'm sort of in part 4. But part 3 was I decided from all the skills that I had gained and all the editing skills that I had gained, and I remember this was, if I'm remembering correctly, this was a little bit before the pandemic, or when the pandemic started. I had some money saved up, and I'd been doing music at the time, and I had a chance to do a feature with a sort of a big artist, a rapper, that was going to cost me about $1,000, and and right before the pandemic, I thought to myself, like, is it worth really paying $1,000? I keep saying subscribers, $1,000 for a feature with some artist, or I have this money right now and I want to start filming stuff. It'd probably be worth it if I actually invested in a camera, and that's what I decided to do. And it was one of the best investments I've ever made, and it's the camera that I'm still using actually right now. And so I invested in a camera, and that's when I started putting out skits on my other channel, Chaim Samuels, my main channel right now, where I'm putting out my stuff. And oh boy, I can tell you that this was definitely a pretty hard process, because I did something where, as I said, like, I took a leap of faith on the stuff I wanted to do, where I already had a channel that I was succeeding at, and I was growing, and I decided to, like, literally put that to a side and take a leap into this brand new channel, putting out the type of stuff I wanted to, and totally having to figure out how to grow my subscribers based on an entirely different algorithm. Because again, with the reactions, I had an entire thing set up and I was succeeding. And this was I had to figure out an entire way to grow my subscriber base that was not based on my previous channel. I mean, I had some tips that I think could help me, but overall, the idea of it was totally different. But it was something that I was passionate about and I wanted to do, and it took me about 2 years, but I managed to get to 1,000 subscribers. So this was grueling, and I could tell you that there were times where I was really depressed, and there were times that it was rough, it was difficult, and there were definitely moments that I felt like I wanted to quit, or I felt like I was never going to succeed. I remember there was a point when I got to 500 subscribers, and my channel sort of was stagnant for what felt like a while, and it was so depressing. I felt like such a failure. And I think I've been posting sort of music on my other channel, and I kind of got burnt out from doing that. And so I was sort of in this kind of stagnant mode where I felt like I really wasn't succeeding, and it really sucked. And what was also part of it is when you're on YouTube and you're watching other YouTubers succeed and get big, and you're getting angry, and you're like, why is that person succeeding? That person sucks, And you're like, I'm funnier than that person. Why aren't I succeeding? It's a very bad place to get into. And I think for anybody doing YouTube, it's important not to look at any other channels and try to, get jealous of them. It's not a good place to be. And so with my YouTube channel, there were a lot of different things that I think took me a while to understand. And so these are some of the tips I'm going to get to right now. My comedy channel. This is like the main thing for anybody that wants to start a comedy channel right now. These are particular tips that people are really not going to tell you that haven't grown a comedy channel, because they're very particular, and they're you'd really only sort of understand them if you were growing a comedy channel or something similar like an entertainment channel. So let's get into these specific tips of what I learned. Okay, number one, I think the amount that I sort of came to when it came to growing my channel, the amount you want to usually post when it comes to comedy, I think, is about twice a week. That seems to be the secret sauce. Twice a week is, I think, the particular amount of videos that that I think people want on your channel. I remember every time that I would like go to one video a week, my subscribers would sort of start to dwindle, and every time I'd start up again and do twice a week, my subscriber base would start to consistently gain again. And so I'd say for anybody starting a channel, that's sort of the secret sauce. I understand it's sort of difficult when it comes to comedy skits. It's different than doing reaction videos where you sort of have the material in front of you. When it comes to comedy skits, it's really your creativity having to come up with those types of videos and ideas, and so that could be a little more difficult. When you're starting off a channel, I'd say for anybody starting off a channel now, it'll take some time to figure out your specific style and what you want. I'd say a couple of tips just off of this. If you want to start your channel right now, I'd say to anybody, you know what? I'll talk about that at the end for anybody wanting to start a channel right now. But anybody who is trying to work on a comedy channel right now, I say twice a week is sort of the magic sauce. Is sort of a good amount. I guess you could do once a week. I've seen it done before. Usually, I think when you're starting off, you want a little more volume. And I think the more successful you become, you can kind of strip back and work a little more on production. But I'd say starting out twice a week is a good amount. Number two, and this was something that I didn't particularly follow, and I think if I did follow it, I would have gained more subscribers. But because I'm kind of wanting to be an actor and I want to succeed in movies and stuff like that, I didn't always focus on this tip. But anybody who specifically wants to succeed at YouTube, I can tell you that and I've seen this across so many different channels, and I knew that if I continued kind of doing this, I would have built my subscriber base up a little bit more, was that you want to have a consistent and particular style when it comes to your skits. I've seen a lot of channels that are not funny, but because they're very specific and when you see their video, you know it's their video, and they're posting consistently, I mean, they get a lot of views. And so I think a lot of comedy skit channels, you don't have to even be that particular funny. You just have to kind of create a particular style and stick with it. You have someone like Ryan George, who I've been sort of compared to, and he's got a very particular style. And when you see a Ryan George video, you know he's got the video where he talks to himself back and forth. I sort of did that some of my video, and a lot of his videos are this guy discovering this for the first time. And there's a very particular style and humor in his videos, and you know what you're gonna get. There's another channel. I don't remember the name, but there's a bunch of different channels where now you have shorts, and they pretty much just post short videos. And a lot of the videos are particular subjects and have a very particular style to them. Now, I didn't always stick to this because I'm sort of ADD, and I liked kind of branching out and doing other stuff and trying new things. But I think for anybody who is trying to create a comedy channel for themselves, and they particularly want to succeed, what you want to do is you want to have a particular style. Usually, this is because it usually helps. Once in a while, there are guys like Gus Johnson who they still have a particular style, but they kind of branch out into different types of videos. But more often, most of the comedy channels are very particular types of either the humor, the subject matter they talk about, and the style of videos. So there are some channels that just post shorts, and most of the shorts have a particular subject that they talk about. A good example of this is when I'm a religious Jew, and if I had focused a little more on this, I definitely would have absolutely grown my channel a lot faster. If I had just done videos mostly done videos on me doing Jewish topics and me growing up and taking from my particular background and making fun of those ideas, and I had posted like 2 videos a week, and I consistently had a specific format and my humor came through, I would have grown a lot faster. I know that for a fact, because every time I did videos like that. People really enjoyed it and they want to see more of it, but I kind of wanted to branch out and not do those particular videos. But what I would say to anybody right now that's doing comedy is you want to find your comedic voice, and you usually want to pick a particular type of format that you're going to be doing. So if you're going to do shorts, I'd say lean more into shorts. If you're going to do videos where you talk about a particular subject, talk generally more about that type of subject and put out those types of videos. You know, if you're, I'm trying to think. I don't know, if you're a barista, you know, do a lot of barista humor. You know, if you're, I don't know, a plumber, you know, do particularly plumber types of humor. And you'll be known as the guy who's, You Betcha. There's a guy called You Betcha, and he's from the Midwest, and he does a lot of Midwest types of videos, particularly about dads. You know, a lot of his stuff is like he's a really funny guy, and he does a lot of Midwest types of videos where he's like a dad, and he's a dad from the Midwest, and he does a lot of videos sort of making fun of that. I'd say take you know, the show Portlandia. I know it's a show, but that's a particular example where Portlandia is particularly just making fun of Portland. That's the entire show. It's like a billion seasons, and they pretty much make fun of that. And it works because they have a particular style, and they have a particular subject. And I'd say for anybody out there, sort of try to take a particular subject, even if it's not so much of a subject, take a particular style that you really enjoy. It could be back and forth. It could be doing shorts. And it also helps, again, to take a particular subject, whatever you want to talk about, and have that be a sort of a specific theme throughout your videos. And I guarantee if you are consistent in uploading at specific times, so I'd say throughout the week, again, twice a week, and I don't think you have to stick to this regiment. Maybe if you're a little more consistent in your style and the subject matter you're doing. But if you're not sure what that is yet, I'd say twice a week. And try to pick a particular time. You want to make sure to let people know when you're going to be doing those videos, so don't just push it throughout the week. Have a time like Monday at 2 p.m. I put out videos. And I guarantee if you follow these specific steps, you will grow 100%. So remember, let's go through this again just so I can sort of finish this off. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything, but particular things when it comes to a comedy channel is, number one, I'd say about twice a week is a good amount to put out. Number two, your comedic, you want to find your comedic voice, your type of humor. I think if you have a specific type of humor, most likely people will have that type of humor itself. But that humor is not necessarily going to translate unless it's put into a particular format, and it could be about a particular subject. Those always help. So if you're the guy that talks about, I saw somebody there's this Muslim comedy sketch creator, and he does a lot of Muslim stuff, and so he's the guy who makes funny things about Muslims. And making fun of that. So you know what you're getting with his channel. And he's got a particular style when it comes to it. So find your style, find your creative voice and humor, and consistently do those videos. So if you do all three of these things and you try it out for a year and you're patient enough, I guarantee you can grow. And it'll take a little time, to find your creative voice and to find your humor. It takes time. When I was doing stand-up comedy, it took time for me to start to kind of feel out the type of humor I wanted, Definitely when I started doing sketches, a lot of times I would try to copy a different channel, A lot of times I would try to copy like Gus Johnson and after a while I kind of got confident with this type of stuff that I wanted to do, If I had focused in more on what I liked doing was like Bible stuff. I liked making fun of like Moses and Abraham and taking stories and making fun of those types of stuff. Because I grew up learning about those people, and if I had focused a little more on that and doing those types of videos, I could have succeeded more. Again, I don't always follow my own advice, and that's because I'm a little more ADD, and I'm trying to do more acting and filmmaking stuff, but anybody who particularly follows these instructions, I guarantee it'll help you grow and succeed. So, once again, for anybody who's trying to succeed in comedy, these are those particular rules that you can follow. Hopefully, I'm not repeating myself too much. So, and hopefully, I'm not forgetting anything either. Again, when it comes to comedy channels, there's really not a lot of people talking about it. It's unfortunate. Even a lot of big comedy channels, I wish that they would focus in a little bit more on talking to people and explaining how they succeeded. And it does frustrate me a lot that they're not those people doing that. So I'm going to be one of those guys that does that. And again, I don't have 1 billion subscribers, but I did manage to get over 1,000 subscribers doing comedy skits. So I have somewhat of an idea of how to grow. And I think if you take these ideas, consistently twice a week, find your comedic voice, and have a specific style of video. Again, if you like putting it in shorts, mostly do shorts types of videos that are under a minute long. And if you like videos where you talk back and forth, have that be specific. And then a specific subject always help. People can identify your specific subject. If you follow all these things, I guarantee you will definitely succeed. So now I'm sort of in my fourth part of my life right now when it comes to YouTube. So when I got to about 1,000 subscribers, it was a great experience. But what frustrated me was that it was closer to the end of the year, and I had this idea that I wanted to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I was at 950 or 40, and I kind of became really stagnant for a while, which was really frustrating. And up until now, I've gained 1,000 subscribers, but not much more. I'm at 1,038. And so kind of what had been driven me for so long, and what made me feel okay about, my career in acting and comedy and stuff, was the fact that I'd been growing consistently on my channel. And when this started to sort of become a little stagnant, it was a little depressing, because I had this idea that by the end of 2022, I was going to get to 10,000 subscribers. And it doesn't really look that way, because I really have not gained a lot of subscribers. I'm not growing at the same rate as I did when I was doing a YouTube channel. And I sort of started to kind of get a little depressed and a little frustrated that I wasn't growing at the same rate. And I heard a lot of people say that the first 1,000 subscribers are the toughest, and then after that, it's a little easier. That has not been the case for me, unfortunately. But I think that probably has to do with the fact that I decided I wanted to, again, reinvent myself and kind of come out with different types of my channel. And I think that's on me. If I had been consistent with the type of stuff I was doing, I'd probably be growing more. But I decided that I wanted to do more filmmaking and acting stuff. And I knew that that was a risk in itself. And it has been sort of a risk, because I have not grown at the same rate that I was growing before. But I remember watching a video about somebody saying, after you get to 1,000 subscribers, that is the point where you should stop focusing so much on subscribers, and you should just try to enjoy the process. And I think for so long, I've been it almost feels like I've been running for the past 2 years. And now that I'm at 1,000 subscribers, I felt like it was a good point for me to just take a breath and try to enjoy having a small following, and try to be a little more creative and put a little more work into my production. That's sort of what I've been doing, and I've been focusing more on my acting career. It's giving me more time to, do actual auditions and act and stuff, and that's been really fulfilling. And with my YouTube channel, it's been a great way for me to actually work on my acting skills and directing and filmmaking, and that's sort of where I am right now, where I don't think I'm going to be the typical YouTuber. I don't think that YouTube is necessarily so much of my passion like a lot of other people. I think YouTube is a great tool for me to be able to put out material and stuff that I like. But overall, what I want to do with my life is be an actor, filmmaker, director, all of that stuff. And YouTube is a great vessel for me. And I think that's sort of what I've realized. I think there are a lot of people, YouTube is what they particularly want to do, and for me, it's sort of a means to an end. It's a vessel for me to show off some stuff that I've been working on, and to help me with my career. And realizing this has made me sort of okay with not having to get 1 billion subscribers. I'd like to, but the fact that now I've been focusing more on my acting career, and I've been finding somewhat success actually, has actually made me a lot more content with being okay putting out the type of stuff I wanted to put out. And so my goal this year for 2022 was to slow down and start to put out more the type of stuff I just wanted to put out. And I wanted to put out more consistent style stuff. So what I started a web series. called The Wrong Hole. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. By the time this uploads, there'll be 2 episodes out right now. And The Wrong Hole is a parody of The Twilight Zone. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And it's a really great way for me to sort of put out consistent enough stuff while at the same time improving my acting and filmmaking style and stuff like that. I'm really, really happy with that. And that's sort of where I am in my YouTube career, and I'm really excited to continue and find out where this will sort of lead me. Now, before I finish off this video, I want to just give a brief few tips and ideas and thoughts on anybody starting a YouTube channel right now, or anybody at the beginning of their YouTube journey right now. I understand it can be really stressful. Trust me, I've been in that particular spot. I know what it's like to not have any subscribers. I know what it's like for nobody to watch your videos. I get it. And hopefully, if you've seen this video, it's helped you to understand YouTube a little bit better. Hopefully, you could take from my experience. I've failed multiple times over years. And it took me a while to fully have sort of an idea of how to grow my channel. But anybody starting off their channel right now, these are just a couple of things I would say that maybe I wish somebody had told me, or I wish that I had listened to. So the number one, there are a couple of things when you're starting off a channel. One is, I understand the mindset is, I want to put out a video, I want it to go viral right away, but that is not a good mindset to have, and I think it's honestly detrimental. You don't want to have super success right away. I know that sounds sort of counterintuitive. Most people want to find success right away as soon as they post a video, but I guarantee, the great thing about not finding success really early on is that you have time to establish yourself, and you have time to establish what your channel's about, and you have time to get comfortable with the types of videos you're putting out. The great thing I've always said when it came to YouTube was people have 2 fears that sort of contradict each other when they start putting out YouTube videos. And that is, I'm going to put out a video and everybody's going to think it sucks, or I'm going to put out a video and nobody's going to watch it, which it's like, okay, either everybody's going to see it and they think it sucks, or nobody's going to watch it. And the great thing about YouTube is, you don't want anybody to usually watch your first videos. You want to what gradually happens is, the more you improve and the more you get better at putting out videos, hopefully your viewer base will also grow. And what's great about that is that the more you get better, the more the viewers see you, and that is a great way. That's a great way to grow and succeed. The better you get, the more views you get. And so when you're at a good place where now you're getting a lot of views, you've already dealt with a lot of the crappiness. I can tell you from my experience, and a lot of YouTubers who start off, you're probably not going to be very good. And you're going to look back at some of your previous videos and go, you're going to cringe, And that's okay. That's fine. The important thing is to have patience. I would say for anybody starting a YouTube channel and they're not sure what they want to do, give yourself some time. Give yourself a couple of months where you're still figuring out what you want to do, and give yourself enough time to come up with the types of videos you want to put out. And I'd say give yourself about 2 months, and try to consistently once a week put out a video for 2 months straight. And there's something really great about having, a lot of times it's hard to know when to start because you look at your channel, you don't have any videos, and I understand that feeling. And there's a really great feeling about starting a channel and having already 5 or 6 videos under your belt. You feel like an established channel, and it can definitely motivate you to continue working. So I'd say to anybody out there starting this channel right now, have patience. And I know that's an obvious one, but I promise you don't want to succeed early on. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you don't, because you're going to look back at some of your older videos and say, thank God nobody saw these. So what you want to do is you want to be patient, be okay, and give yourself a specific amount of time to explore what you want to come up with. And when you finally sort of have that idea, it's going to click. You'll be like, that's what I want to do. Start doing those videos, and then look back at all these tips and try to follow and try to adapt these tips and be consistent and try to get better with each video. And I promise you'll have an easier time succeeding. Hopefully this helped you guys. So yeah, that's sort of the podcast. Hopefully whatever I said helped. I hope I didn't ramble too much on. I hope the ideas came across and didn't get muddled in the entire story. And yeah, so thank you so much, guys. And I'm looking forward to the rest. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys.